Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
That's right.
The Wallstreet Trapper. What up, brother?
What's good, family? How everybody doing?
Blessed,
right.
black, and highly favored,
That's
man.
a fact.
Now, for people who don't know who the Wallstreet Trapper is,
You might have heard him on the Earn Your Leisure podcast.
Earn Your Leisure
Shout out to
podcast.
my
I think
brothers.
I missed you. I missed you that week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go back home a lot, so I went back to New Orleans to be with my daughter when you came.
Yeah, I missed you that
Definitely
week.
talked to Matt about talking to you about that, dude. Definitely.
Yeah, so
We've
let's
been on 85 South Show.
Shout out to Carlos and the crew, man.
That's right.
I appreciate those guys,
DC,
man.
Chico, Chad, what's happening?
Yeah, for
so
real.
let's break down why you the Wallstreet Trapper.
Well, man, first and foremost, let me say this, man. Charlamagne, I want to tell you, man, I appreciate you, brother. You the first black man I ever heard talk about mental health. And just coming from where I'm from in New Orleans, man, you know, I saw my moms get shot when I was 9. I wound up going to prison at 16 for shooting a man. And just being in the hood, coming up in the streets, man, you never know how trauma affects you, right? We never get taught about mental health and therapy. Like, it's not something that we, just get approached to. And as I got, started doing my thing, I was like, damn, like, I've been affected by a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Things I did in the street, things I did in prison, things I've seen, and it started affecting me. So I really got a therapist now, man.
Wow.
So I want to tell you, man, I appreciate you for that.
Love, King.
For real, I appreciate you for that. Just the Wall Street Trapper, man. Grew up in New Orleans, man. Saw my moms get shot, went to prison, all that stuff. My story ain't no different to many other people, but just in prison, I got introduced to stocks. White guy told me this. I had just had a fight with 2 of my so-called friends, man. And he had a look of frustration on his face, right? And he was just like, man, y'all playing the wrong game. And in my mind, I'm like, how are we playing the wrong game? You in here with me?
Word.
Like, how we playing the wrong game? But he told me some profound stuff, man. He said, I had a red band on. So in New Orleans, a red band means attempt murder, armed robbery, carjacking, violent offense. And he had a red and white band on, which means he was going to the feds. And he was like, I can almost promise you you're in here for something less than $100,000. And I was like, for sure. And he was like, well, I embezzled $2.8 million from my company, paid restitution to $800,000. I still kept $2 million. I'm only doing 18 months. He was like, how much time you have? I was 16 at the time. I had 10 years. He was like, now you understand. I was like, man, you lying, man. You ain't got that much money, right? So this before Instagram, social media. One thing about being in prison, you always have your paperwork with you. So he showed me his paperwork. I see it in black and white. He's showing me the places he been to, and I'm like, yo, I need to play that game. Like, what is that? Like, how do I get there? And he was just like, listen, one of the first things you got to stop doing is, like, stop trading your time for money. Start learning to make your money work for you. Start being an investor. Start giving value to people. And I was like, the hell? Like, I've never been taught nothing like this. And then he tells me, wealthy people invest in stocks, they start a business, and then they buy real estate. You do those 3 things, your life will change. So the rest of my 10 years, I dedicated myself to like, yo, I just got to learn how to play it. And so I just dedicated myself to it, watching CNBC. I'm talking about, I got to watch this before dudes watch The Young and the Restless in the pen, because they love The Young and the Restless and Price is Right. So I got to watch this before that. Started dedicating myself to reading, and I was like, damn, like this shit different. I see a bunch of white men making a whole lot of money. Like, why have I never been taught this? Like, why we never taught this? And just coming back home from prison, Mike Tyson said it best, man, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the face. Right? So I got back home, I got this idea, I see it, but how do I get money? Like, I get back in the streets, that's what I know how to do. My grams went to the feds. My mom like, this is what I know how to do. This is my environment. No matter what I know, I got to get money. So I get back in the streets, man, and just in that whole process, I'm like, all right, cool, this is what it is. My mind, I'm going to just use my hustle money to invest in the stock market. Like, this, how I'm thinking it's going to work. Kind of didn't go that way. I catch another charge. The narcs kicked my doing, 10 pounds of weed, $10,000. I was facing another 35 years. That cost me $60,000. So everything that I had worked for in the streets, I had done lost it again. So, man, just God came to me one day and he was like, man, you playing the wrong game. Like, and it just, I had an epiphany. So I was like, all right, cool. So I still didn't get it though, because I got back in the streets, but this time I couldn't hustle, so I started robbing, hustlers. Like, that's the next best thing for me in my mind. Like, the streets is what I know how to do. And then I like, all right, let me do something then. So I just started reading it again. I always was a smart dude. So I'm like, all right, let me just try it then. So I started really getting into it. Like, all right, yo, this shit makes sense. Like, damn, I see why they don't teach us this. This shit powerful. Like, 70% of everything that we use and consume with our money is on the stock market. Like, everything. So I'm like, damn, like, all right, cool. All right, it makes sense to me now. Like, even the brands that we wear, Louis Vuitton, LVMH, third richest man in the world. Louis Vuitton owns Louis Vuitton, they own Dior, they own Hennessy, Moet.
Yeah.
Like, yo, like, let's own it. And oftentimes, the stock is cheaper than the product. Gucci, Balenciaga, these other brands, like, they own us. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I went to telling my homies, like, yo, check this out. Instead of us just blowing the money, we gonna wear the Fendi anyway. We gonna wear it anyway. Let's just own that shit too. Like, let's play the game both ways. So my homies really wasn't getting it. So I had to say, all right, yo, like, the education, the knowledge is the fertilizer to your wealth, right? So as the education and as the knowledge changes, so does the compensation change. Because now I can have conversations about different things. So I really just locked in on it. And I started teaching my homies, and I was like, all right, look, how do I make it realistic to them? How do I make them tap into it? So the second thing was like, yo, check this out. None of us can beat the game. Everybody I knew had the same problem. Nobody had the solution. How do I now stop looking like the problem and start representing a solution, right? So I can't talk to everybody, but I can talk to street dudes. Like, I can talk to them. So I'm like, yo, check this out. If you go do a bid, which is gonna happen, what do you come home to? Like, you gotta get back in the streets. You gotta get it out the mud again. So if you had money invested for you, when you come home, you got money. You don't gotta ask nobody for no handout. What if you go do a bid and what you've made the sacrifices, you've took the chances, what do your family have? Like, so let's start thinking bigger picture now. What happens if you get killed in the street? Because most of us either go to jail or we get killed. What do you leave your kids? Like, let's start making it make sense. So the goal for me was to never tell you get out the streets. It was to start saying, yo, let's start thinking about our family now. Like, let's start thinking about something bigger than us. And nobody never came to us like that. So that was my whole avenue. And so the Wall Street Trapper was me just saying, let me turn the trapper word into something positive instead of always being about dope, instead of always being about hustling. And I knew my voice for who I was talking to. I never wanted to talk to nobody else.
Wow, so you didn't go to school or nothing. You just read material?
I just read.
What were some of the books you read?
So I'm gonna lie, the first thing I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Great read.
And the reason why was because it wasn't actually an investment book, it was a mindset shift. So one of the things that have to happen to us in the street is we gotta start looking at money different. Right? So a lot of times with me, what happened with me was I stopped looking at money as something I needed, and I started saying, yo, what I really want is the time. Right? Because most people, the biggest complaint you'll have is, I don't have enough time. So my thing was, yo, let me start using the money to buy back more of my time. The more time I have, I can find ways to create more money. If I can create more money, I can buy more time. And then ultimately, I had the freedom that I want. See, we think we got freedom right now, but we don't really have it. Right? You don't have freedom until you're able to do the things you want to do, spend time with the people you want to do. Even if you don't want to do shit, you got the freedom to say, I don't want to do shit. Right? So I was like, I need to do that. So I just started learning how to analyze businesses. Anything by Warren Buffett, anything by Peter Lynch, I started reading them books. Don't get me wrong, it's boring as shit, right? But I started understanding, like, okay, if they can do it, I damn sure can do it. Right? They ain't no better than me. They men like me. The only difference was they had access to knowledge. Remember, at one time, it was like illegal for us to read.
That's right.
Right? It's illegal for us to read. It's a reason why it's illegal for us to read, because once you start reading, you get exposed to something different. If I get exposed to something different, I can start seeing the world different. If I can start seeing the world different, now I can have what's called financial identity, financial understanding. I can start saying, yo, this is what my money is worth. This is what my money can do for me. I ain't never know that. Only thing I knew was I can work for money, and that's it. If that's the only way I know how to make money, I'm limiting myself.
That's right.
I'm limiting myself.
Yeah.
Right? So Wall Street is this big old machine that prints money every day, all day. I just got to know how to operate the machine. If I learn how to operate the machine, I got a job forever, and the job is just to produce freedom for myself, and then let my daughter now start inheriting freedom. So my daughter, 5 years old now, she got 6 figures invested. I've been investing since she was 1. Like, let's normalize that.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's normalize. All right, Stank, you want to go to college? Cool. You ain't got to go in debt to go. Because I've been investing for you since you was 2. You'll be a millionaire before you 15. That's the goal. To give her freedom, not just money, but give her freedom to say, okay, how many 15-year-olds we know, man, you can't do this because you got to help mama raise the kids, or you got to get this job to help mama pay bills, right? But what if, like, yo, you can go to college and have that experience if you want to go. But if not, you can be an investor, right? Most of the people we know is, if I can't play ball or I can't rap, yo, I'm going to just be a hustler. Because everybody who I see go to work, nothing against nobody going to work, but everybody who I knew that went to work was struggling. I don't want to struggle, man. I don't want to normalize struggling. How do I do that? I start learning how to be an investor. That shit unlock all the doors you need to unlock. You know
I think it's great, especially for your daughter, that you started a bank account. They've done studies that show that when kids have a bank account at an early age, they tend to be way better with money later on in life. And that's something that people need to focus on, like explaining to your kids how money works, making sure that they know they have a bank account. And I think even with so many apps and technology today, it does make it a lot more accessible for people, especially younger people.
Nah, that's a fact. So so for me, my daughter doesn't even have a bank account. She got what's called a custodial account, but that's smart, Yee. Here's why. You put your money in a bank, the bank then takes your money. So let's look at it like this. You put $1,000 in the bank. The bank, once you open that bank account, the bank can say, yo, we legally can take 90% of that money and do what we want to do with it, fractional reserve banking, right? And you don't know it. You like, all right, cool, but they've taught us, yo, let's just sit. The bank is the safest place to put your money. They've taught us that, right? They've taught us that, right? And we don't know no better, right? Because we gone off the information we've been taught. So the bank gonna say, okay, Trap, let me take that 1,000. Charlamagne needs 1,000. Charlamagne, we can give you $900 at this, I call it your adult report cost, your credit score, whatever that is. We'll give you that based on this. You pay me interest on that. He takes that 900, he does what he does, he go pay it to you, Envy. You take the 900, you put it in the bank now take that same 900, they take 800, lend it to somebody else. Right, so they're gonna make a whole lot of money off that. If
So
they
that
can't,
10% off Charlamagne's interest, and they only give you 0.1% on mine.
I was about to say that off yours, but then they can also say, yo, you know what? Since nobody don't want to take this money, we don't got nobody to give it to, let's go put it in the stock market. Right? So now we asked out, and they're gonna give you 50 cents at the end of the year. Right? So how do we leverage it? All right, cool. Let me now say, I'm gonna put my own money in the stock market, right? And I'm gonna own the same bank. I'm gonna own Chase Bank. Right? I'm gonna get Chase Bank to pay me dividends. I'm gonna get those dividends to buy me more stock in Chase Bank. Right? So now I've not only got the bank to pay me, I've also got ownership in the bank. I've turned the bank into my own trap house. Right? That's just how I look at it. Like for me, so for my daughter, it's the same thing. If I just keep putting money in the bank for her, it'll never grow to that million that I want it to grow to. Right? Because they ain't gonna pay me enough. But if I put it in stocks and give her ownership, and then from 5 to 18 when she has access to it, it's unlimited what it could do.
Now, let me ask you with the stock game. I haven't really dove into it like I want to. Reason because, like you said, is the time. You got to study, you got to master. It's kind of like with real estate. Like I had the time because I bought my own house, which taught me a little bit about real estate. And I do the same thing with you. I don't really put much money in the bank. I'd rather, like, buy my daughter a house and her house pays for her college. Buy my son a house. His house pays for his high school and will pay for his college. Just the way I think. They'll always have that. When I die, they'll have it. They'll continue to make money. But how much time does it take you to master the stock market? Because people listen and they think it's easy. They look online, they see CNBC, you know, I just put 50,000 and I made 500,000. They, you know, listen to what happened with GameStop, and you know, people think it's an easy process. How difficult is it to learn the stock market? How much time does it take? And how often are you on it? Are you on it all day long? Are you trading all day?
So there's different components in how you play the game, right? And so one of the things I tell people is like, Wall Street looks like us now, right? Like it don't look like the image we had before, right? We added it all, whether you're trading, Forex. So my portfolio is 80% buy and hold. And I think everybody should start there, right? And why you should start
Break
this
down
because
what buy and hold is. A lot of people don't know what that means.
yeah, so buy and hold is simply finding a great business, owning it, and just holding it.
Long distance.
Long
investment.
distance, right?
Long term. Long term.
Long
Yeah.
term.
I said long distance. Yeah, long term.
Yeah, long term. So what happens is, like Nipsey said it best, and I just use it in everything. Like, it's a marathon. Like, so we looking at the 40-yard dash. How can I get rich fast? Not understanding that we didn't get into this situation overnight.
So a long term would be like explain like an
So
Apple.
so you
explain
buy
what-
Apple. So
And we're not saying
basically,
to buy any of these.
No,
we're
no,
just telling
no.
you what a long term would be.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a financial advisor, yo.
Right.
So one of the things I say is look for 3 things in a business. It doesn't take long to understand a business, right? Look for 3 things. You want a business who you can see being around for the next 10 years. Longevity, right? You want a business that is producing cash flow, right? And then you also want a business that has a competitive edge. So let's break that down. What is a competitive edge? What does the business has over its competitors that says it can't go out of business, right? So let's think about this. This thing is called a moat that a business has. And let's think about a castle like in the old days, and it had this water around it to keep the invaders out, right? So I always want a business to have that. So one of the things that I love is a business that has lifetime customers. A business like Apple, right? So Apple has what's called this, it has 2 types of moats. It's a switching moat and a branding moat. Switching moat says that because I have this iPhone, what's the possibilities of me going to an Android? Slim to none. Why? Because everything I does probably is connected to the Apple cloud. So my phone is on it, my computer is on it, my laptop, everything I have. So for now, for me to go to another phone, I gotta take all of that off of there to go somewhere else. The chances of me doing that is slim to none.
Correct.
Right? Brand switching mode. How likely is it for a user to switch from this company to another company? That's important. Another thing is like a branding mode, right? So what is a branding mode? When you think about a name, this name sticks out to you. Think about this. When people think about a shirt with a collar, what do they call it? A polo, right? Branding mode. When a company name now becomes synonymous with an object.
Like Q-tip.
Q-tip. You think about cold drink, man, give me a Coke. You know what I'm saying? Branding modes, it's important, right? Another thing is market leadership. So when you think about a new industry, who's the head of that industry, right? Electric cars, you think Tesla. Out the gate, you think retail, you think Walmart, right? So it's not hard to get in it. The thing is getting you in and then just start understanding, yo, what does a good company look like? So I have these 5 rules I go by, and I call them rules, R-U-L-E-S. The R stands for reason. What is the reason that I'm at this company for? How did I get here? The U, do I understand it? Like, do I understand how this business actually makes money, right? That's important, right? Amazon, if I ask you how does Amazon make money, you say by shipping products out. And I'll say, well, that's the second way they make money. The first way they make money is Amazon Web Service. It's the biggest web service in the world, right? So you gotta understand that. You think about Disney. You say, how do they make money? Well, they entertain. Yep, they do. But they also have streaming. They got ESPN. So you just you gotta amusement parks. You gotta understand how they make money. It's important, right? So the R, the U, the L, the E is expansion. Can I see the business expanding without selling off assets, right? So you want a business to have to sell off assets to make money. So let's think about McDonald's, right? So McDonald's went from burgers and fries to 24 hours selling breakfast. It didn't cost them nothing. They added a drive-through. They just cut a hole in the window, got a drive-through, right? They didn't have to sell off anything to do that. So you want to see that. You don't want a business to sell off assets to make more money for us.
Let me ask you what McDonald's.
Talk about it.
At McDonald's, right?
You gonna say real
For a long
estate?
time. 20 years ago, I would think McDonald's was a great business, right? But now with everything turning healthy, with people not necessarily wanting to go out as much, McDonald's don't really deliver. You got to go through Uber Eats. Your fries come cold. It's not as desirable. Is that still a long-term investment?
So now you look at it as this way. Again, I'm not telling nobody to invest in
I'm not
McDonald's.
saying nobody out there.
Yeah. So now you look at it like this. Okay, who's the number 1 fast food business in the world?
McDonald's, probably.
Number 1, right? People still love the brand. Kids still love chicken nuggets. No matter it's not healthy, kids still love chicken nuggets, right? The world is opening back up. You can go to any McDonald's right now. They got a line wrapped around it. You're not going nowhere. So what they did was they made, how do we speed this up? Cool, you can go to McDonald's now. They'll have the kiosk inside of there. So now you don't even got to go to the register. You can order it right here, right? They're taking a page out of the Chick-fil-A model, right? So it still can be a great. And then also, one of the things that you'll see about McDonald's, they put their restaurants in prime locations.
That's right. Right. I mean, I always told that their main business is real estate. Anyway.
It is like prime location, right? Prime. They're gonna make sure you see that arch.
You're gonna see them arches.
And they're gonna make sure they tell you we serve this many burgers a day. Also, let's dig a little deeper with McDonald's. So again, like these people brilliant. So there's a study that showed that red is a color that makes you hungry. So if you look at most of your food chains, most of them are red. They got something red inside of the sign. Psychologically, that engages you to like, damn, I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So they smart just in branding. But then also like one of my favorite companies is Chipotle, right? So Chipotle in the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, yo, this is a company that's gonna explode, right? So people was like, man, you tripping? People sell burritos. Like, why are they gonna explode? But what happened was they did something that no other business can do. We talk about a moat, right? So what Chipotle does is they partner with local farmers within a 100-mile radius. So every day you get fresh vegetables from Chipotle. No other company can do that. And they do it at a price so well, either the only way you can compete with me is if you're willing to lose a profit. Most companies ain't in the business of losing a profit.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, yo, I'm not gonna mess with that part of the business model, right? So we find business that have these competitive edges, and it's not really hard, but before you even get there, before you even say, yo, I gotta learn all that, just start learning what you consume, yo.
Right.
Like before you even get into that whole before you try to be Warren Buffett, be DJ Envy, be Charlamagne, be Trap, like you what you consume every day, like
Envy should be investing in Beijing. Right? No, seriously, because he's like seriously.
I don't use Beijing. I don't know.
But just
Well,
he uses
whatever
just
you're
for men.
using, just for men.
Just for men has taken off during the
I'm
pandemic.
being honest though.
It's true.
I don't know what you're talking about, Beijing. I don't know what you're talking about.
facts.
You know what's been helpful for me too, like I was saying earlier, like all these apps, right? Because I've been using this app Public that I've been using to invest in the stock market, and you don't have to invest like a full price of the stocks. You can invest whatever amount of money that you have, but it's also like a Twitter feed that's on there. So there's all these different people that are only having conversations about different stocks and and they're not telling you what to do, but they're talking about what they did and why they did it. And then I go off the app and I'm like, okay, let me do my own research. And so that's helped me. And like you said, things that I use, like I invested in The Real because I know that secondhand luxury item market isn't going anywhere. I saw there was a new CEO at the company. So I look at different things like that. Peloton, obviously during the early stages of this pandemic, we saw how Peloton was not even available for people to be able to order. So there's a lot of things that I look at. Then I go and I do my own research. But how do you decide when is the best time to buy? Because the market fluctuates so much. When are you like, this is a great time to get in?
So one of the things I love to do is, and this is where the patience comes in that, right? So one of the things I tell people is like, you got to understand the value of something before, you got to understand the value of the asset before you buy it, right? Like if you went and bought a car, if you bought the car at the sticker price, then you probably getting messed over, right? If you bought a house at the market price, you probably getting messed over.
Retail.
Right? You don't want to do that. So one of the things I help people what I help people learn is how to actually find the value of what this asset is worth, right? Like I'm into this game. So think about this. So for Black Friday, people run to Walmart and all these places because they feel like these liabilities are on sale, right? Well, when the stock market goes on sale, people want to take their money out. That's the perfect time to put money in, right? Because in the streets, you make more money in a drought. And so I keep the same mentality when I'm investing. So to answer your question, my love, is like I wait till the market go on sale. Like
last year?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be real. On March 23rd, I went crazy. Last year, I was dumping everything I had in there. You know what I'm saying? And
I did April. My financial advisor, he was like, wait. He was like, all right, now.
Because he want to see the bottom.
That's
he want
right.
to see when it's going to bottom.
That's
Like
right.
for me, I love that. Like I teach all my people that, like while it's running up, what we need to be doing is researching businesses. We need to be researching them. We need to be finding out what they work. Because what happens is, it's like expansion, right? You can only expand so much before it has to contract. Right? You can only blow up so much before it has to come back. But when it comes back, that's when we unload. That's when we triple our net worth, yo. It's a game. So one of the things people always say is, why don't they teach us this in school? Right? So just let's think about this, right? wealthy people don't make wealthy people rich. They give wealthy people ideas so that poor people can make them rich. So they can make us better consumers, right? So they can put something in our face to make us, right? So the lion is at the top of the food chain game. The lion will never tell the zebra, the giraffe, or the water buffalo how to get away. If he did, how would he eat? Right? Financial predators, financial prey. You got to now transition to being a financial predator, right? And the transition is information. Like, this machine ain't going nowhere. We just got to learn how to play it. And so it's, okay, when the stock market is going down, when they saying it's hyped up, like, I ain't tripping. I'm just, all right, cool. When it pulls back a little bit, 10% is a market correction. So if the stock falls back 10%, that could be a buying opportunity. If it falls down 20%, it's for sure a buying opportunity, right? And so that's all you paying attention to. It doesn't have to be nothing. I don't envy. I barely look at my account. If I see the market running up, there's no reason for me to look at it because I just want to check and see how much money I made, right? But when the market started going down, like the last 2 weeks, I saw the market was down. I was like, oh, it's down. Let me go see what's going on right now. Let me see what deals I can find because some things on sale. And everybody panicking. When I look on that TV and I see it's been red a week in a row, oh yeah, I get happy. All right, let me pay attention to my app now. Let me go in here and find some companies that I already got sitting on the side that I can buy. But if the stock market running, I don't want no part of that. Like, I'm making money.
You know, I know some people are going to hear the term financial predator and feel, oh, that sounds so negative. But truth be told, you only got two options.
That's it.
You're either predator or prey.
You're going to eat or be ate.
That's it.
That's the same with every industry. Same thing with real estate. Like, you know, this time, the last couple of months was the time where everybody bought and made a lot of money. Why? Because money was low. You could get interest rate. I mean, it was an all-time low. When have we seen an interest rate for 2.5?
That's a fact.
When have we seen an interest rate for 2.5? You know what I mean? And, you know, since money's low, people are buying. So now a lot of, you know, I got rid of so many properties, not because I needed to, but because I'm getting way over market value for them. Right. You know what I mean? Which is good. And it's going to fall back down. It's going to fall back down. And then when it falls back down, you
buy some more. And that's all I do. It's a rinse and repeat cycle. You can really find 10 great companies, let them go, sell. When it comes down, buy some more. Like, you can just rinse and repeat that. You know what I'm saying? It's impossible for me to learn every business on the stock market.
And people could do that with anything. I just want to tell people you could do that with cars. Like,
I did
you
it.
find cars.
I did
it. I do the same thing. I find cars. I get them at a low price, and then when the market jumps back up, I let them go. There's nothing that I keep. Same thing with jewelry.
Yep.
Rolex, for instance.
Yep.
Right? Let's say you bought a Rolex. Let's say your mother gave you a Rolex, or your grandfather gave you a Rolex. 5 years ago, those Rolexes were $20,000.
Yep.
$22,000. Right now, no less than $50,000.
Appreciation.
What about Birkin bags?
Birkin the same. Birkin shot through the roof like a motherfucker.
That's a fact.
And if I could get my wife to sell them, I would be happy. But she's not selling them. She's keeping them for grandkids and kids. But everything that has value right now, people have money, they're buying, and the value is shooting up. But it's going to drop. And then when it drops,
it's a market cycle.
Mr. Trapper, what was the first amount of money you invested into the stock market, and what stock was it?
It's $10,000 I invested in Ford. Probably the worst investment I made in the beginning because I was just going off of everybody got a Mustang. This before I learned the fundamentals, and I realized that it was a bad company.
I did that too. I brought you involved too.
Yeah, I thought it was a bad company.
What'd you get me in?
Under Armour.
No, I wanted to do Under Armour because in my head it was Steph Curry was endorsing it, and I was like, everything Steph Curry's attached to, I felt comfortable about at that time. But,
it did good.
It
did good for a month.
It could still come back.
It did good for a couple months, and then.
Yeah, so and so that's when we start getting into like, so I own a company called Lululemon, right?
Lululemon?
Yeah.
I love Lululemon.
I bought them instead of Under Armour. Like, I bought them and we did 100% this year. Like, just think of that idea, like making 100% on your money.
Now, when you say you own a company, you invest in a company, you call yourself ownership.
No, I'm an owner. So I'm glad you said that. When you buy stock in a business, you are part owner.
That's right.
At that point. Like, no BS.
Well, I own Disney then.
Yes, you are. Like, I teach my daughter that.
Yes.
No, I teach my daughter that. I was like, Stank, you own 250 shares of Disney. She was like, Daddy, I own Mickey Mouse. I said, you damn right.
I say the same thing to Envy. I'd be like,
Right.
Stank. You need to I said to Envy like that too.
Okay,
So yeah, when you own stock in the business, you actually are part owner. Like, you get voting rights. Like they send you emails like, yo, this is what it's called in a proxy statement. Yo, this is what we're doing. This is where we lost money at. This is how we plan on making money. Oh, and by the way, we declaring a 50-cent dividend that's to you. As an owner of stock, you are now entitled to a portion of the profit that business makes. What makes you better is the more ownership you have, the more say-so you have.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying? As with anything. So I, instead of Under Armour, like I bought Lululemon because I felt it was a better business.
Bought Lululemon, I did.
But
that worked out. That worked out for you.
Yeah,
but even so,
out.
like you do real estate, Envy. Like what people don't know is like you can get into real estate in the stock market, right? Through it's called Real Estate Investment Trust, REITs, right? So just think about this. Walmart, Amazon, they're not in the McDonald's, they're not in the real estate business, so say, but they can go to somebody and say, yo, I need a warehouse made 1,000 square by 1,000 square feet. The people gonna come to them and say, okay, cool, we'll build it for you, but you have to sign a lease with us, triple net lease, right? And that's just simply saying, I'll provide the building, you pay all the bills.
50-year lease.
Right? You buy the lease, so now as an investor, I can say, I own the company where Amazon pays rent to. I own the company that Walmart pays rent to. 7-Eleven, I own a company called O Realty, right? They pay dividends every month. They own 7-Eleven, Walgreens, Planet Fitness, Home Depot. So I own the people they pay rent to. So essentially, you can still get into real estate that way.
Yep.
Without the tenants, what they do everything. You know what I'm saying? So and I did a analysis like maybe a year ago. 30,000 invested in a home and 30,000 invested into the stock market in a real estate investment trust. True enough, you'll make more money on the front end with the real estate, right? But I enjoyed the no hassle. So if let's say that tenant put a hole in the wall, that now has to come out of the rent money that you was collecting, which is cool. I think real estate should definitely be a part of anybody's portfolio. But with the REIT, I don't got to do nothing but just collect the dividends. And now they are by law obligated to pay me 90% of the profit that they make because they get the tax benefit for it. And so for REIT, you can own apartment complexes, you can own senior citizen homes. Like there's no limit. Like you want to own land, you're not a farmer, cool, you can buy a land REIT. So now like one of the companies I own, they rent out acres of land to marijuana growers. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't got to own the land, I don't got to go do the sharecropping, but I'm gonna make money off it.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So you can get into this machine in every way possible. And then once you start building long term, well, okay, cool. Now you want to learn how to trade? Cool, do that as well. Like again, I said, Wallstreet looks like us now.
That's right.
Yo, like
I'm doing that with him.
Yeah.
What you just talked about. But I want to ask you something, right? Like you talked about how you first. I want you to give some tips on the people who just starting. Like they're watching this interview, they don't have 10 grand.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They got a couple thousand, right?
Right.
But they want to get into
check.
stock. There you go. What tips would you give that person?
So the first thing I would tell them to do is get what's called, like, again, I'm not a financial advisor, y'all. Like, don't hold me to this. But the safest way to get in the game is by getting an ETF, right? Exchange traded fund. And so it moves like a stock, but it gives you a collection of stocks all at one time, right? So let's say you wanted to get it, you like bank stocks. You can get a XLF ETF. And now you own Chase Bank, Citibank, Bank of America. You own them all at once. It's a safe play. Like let's say you wanted an ETF, you wanted to get into electric cars. You like trap, like I like Tesla, but that is too high for me. All right, well you can get an electric car ETF. So ETFs are great. You can just go to a simple website, etfdb.com, right? etfdb.com, and it'll have a bunch of ETFs on there. It'll break them down for you. You can't be scared to read. Like, you can't be scared to read. Like, I'm gonna just be real. Like, that's how you leverage the game, by reading. Most of us want to get rich fast, but we don't have the patience to build wealth, right? So I would say that the first thing you can get into is an ETF. Like, that's the safest play to get into. It's gonna mitigate the risk, and what I mean by that, it's gonna take some of the risk off. So what happens is, let's say I wanted to own Apple, but I'm not willing to take the risk. I might wake up in the morning, Apple down 8%. I might be like, yo, I'm about to sell, right? Well, you may own Apple. With this ETF, you'll own Apple, Amazon, Netflix. You'll own 10 companies. So if one company is down, the other 8 is finding the balance in it. If all 8 of them down, it still wouldn't be down as much as the one company would because you found balance. So that's a great way to get in the game. And I want people to understand this too. Just because a stock goes down in price doesn't mean you lose money. You only lose money when you sell it when it's down, because you've locked the price, you've locked that loss in, right? So the stock goes down. If you bought more, you've now bought the price in which you bought it at. You bought it down. So if you bought it at $200 and the stock goes down to $150, if you buy more of it at $150, you've now bring it down to about $165, and so now you can make profit at $165 instead of waiting for it to get back to $200, right? So that would be the first thing I would do is say, yo, just start with some ETFs or some index funds, the S&P 500.
S&P 500. Right.
Yeah, so you can buy the VOO or the SPY. Great index funds. You own 500 businesses. You can't lose with that. On average, it gives you 8%. Right?
That's what I got last year. Rashad told me.
It's my guy. Shout out to my brothers, man.
Rashad said that wasn't a good move.
Well, because
that wasn't a bad move, but it was a better way to do it. He said.
It's because we understand the power of returning and compounding. Right? So what happens is we talking at a beginner's rate, you buy the S&P 500 over the last 100 years, it return 9% for you. Right? That's still better than the 0.05% you're going to get from the bank.
Right.
But what happens with Rashad and ourselves, we look at the market so much. I even tell my students, yo, we can make 8% in our sleep. Like, don't let them set the bar low and we cool with the low bar, right? Understand the potential financial possibilities that you can do if you just did a little research. Again, education changes the compensation. Information is the fertilizer to our wealth.
Yeah, because when you're looking at your shit and you up an extra 150 racks or something, you ain't did nothing. You like, whoa.
It's a game changer. So how much of your, listen, the most important financial decision you'll ever make is how much of your paycheck you're going to get to work for you. It's the most important decision. How much of your income you're going to turn into capital to turn that capital into wealth. And turning it into capital is just saying, this is money I'm going to use to invest. It's a simple decision, right? So we got to start learning how to do more with less so I can get the more, be abundant in the future. If we don't prepare for tomorrow today, when tomorrow comes, we'll be no better than we were the day before.
Where do you think you would be if you didn't go to jail?
I tell people that's the most important part of my life. I would never take that 10 years back. Like, I did it. You can't. Time is our most important asset. But for me, that elevated who I am as a man, who I am as a father to another level. Without prison, there is no Wall Street trap. 100%. Without prison, there is no Wall Street trap, right? Prison saved me in so many different ways. You think about it, like, again, I saw my mom get shot when I was 9. My grandmother goes to the feds. My mama then catches another gun charge. Then she gets shot again. She's still here, though. Thank God for that. I then become a product of that. So my mama goes to jail. My grandmother passes away. I'm homeless. 13, 12, 13. I'm homeless. I'm in the streets. Like, so I was now with all the bullshit. Like, I found love from gangsters. Like, they was like, nah, you do this, we do this. So literally before I went to prison, I was in all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So prison actually saved me and made me better. You know what I'm saying?
I asked that question because, like, I always say prisons aren't real correctional facilities.
Hell no.
But if there was actual teachers there instead of the guy that you was, you know, that was there doing the bid with you, somebody that could actually plant seeds in you and say, yo, Trapper, won't you come you know, do this stock exchange thing for real? Like, go to classes while you're here. You could come out a better human.
But I think it's a little different though, and I'm gonna tell you why. Like, you know, my daughter, she goes to college and she takes real estate class. She doesn't take the real estate teacher serious, right? And I asked her why. And her thing was, if he was really dope in real estate, he wouldn't be doing this.
Here.
He would be investing and making a lot of money.
That's a fact.
You took that guy because you seen his money. You said it's the same thing. Same thing with Caesar. Caesar went to jail and he learned real estate because he learned from a guy that was really doing it. A lot of these teachers, you look at him and be like, how can he teach me? If
But have Caesar come talking to jail. All I'm simply saying is why brothers are there and sisters are there. Give them a chance to actually get some correction.
That's a fact.
But we need people like you that.
I'm really trying to get back in prisons right now. Like, that's something, like, I'm heavy. I was talking to my guy, Andre Norman. I'm like, yo, I need to get back in the trap for real. Like, the Instagram thing is cool because I get to impact so many people. But the people that I really want to talk to, they still in prison. Right? They need, like, yo, how do I get out of here? Like that's who I want to talk to.
Because
And-
you're not wearing a suit, you're not wearing a
Yeah,
tie,
nah,
you're not talking
listen.
over somebody's head. You're a nigga from the hood that did it, so they understand.
They
better.
gonna relate like out the gate.
Exactly.
Like, and even with me, like if somebody try to talk to me about stocks, and he got a suit and a tie on, immediately I'm not gonna feel like you came from where I came from. And you may have came from the trenches just like
Right.
me, but you got that suit and tie on, and in my mind, you ain't been through shit.
Feel like you scamming. Feel
But
like
money
you're
is a
car
universal language.
It's a universal language.
One thing we gonna listen to is a motherfucker trying showing us how to get some
if
money.
he looked like me,
salesman. Right.
Sorta. That
If
guy
he-
in jail didn't look like you.
but he had proof to show me. Well, he did in a way because he had on the same shit I had on.
jumpsuit. Yeah.
He had on the same thing I had on. So all he had to do now was show me he was from where I was from in a different way. So for me, like I'm always wear Wall Street Trapper stuff every day. I want to make stocks look cool in a hoodie and show like it's symbolic to me, yo. Like I don't gotta have no suit on. I got a hoodie on just like you, fam. Let's talk about it, right? I've been through what you've been through, if not worse. Let's talk about it, right? And so now immediately I get their attention. Like, damn, Trap talking that shit. Like, I won't hear that. And then my whole language is, I use the same language from me hustling to convert it over. Like everything about what, like I gotta, and I'm not trying to sell nothing. Like my course is called Marijuana Trapping, Wall Street Trapping, Trapping During a Drought. You know what I'm saying? Like I use that. Like I tell people, trap or attire required. If the stock about to go up, I be like, yo, y'all, we got to put them triple beams on work right now, yo. It's game time.
You speaking the language.
Like, cause that's how it made sense to me. I can only teach it the way it made sense to me. If you can't relate to it, I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It ain't for you, though.
It ain't. I ain't. And I tell people, I ain't for everybody.
Right.
Right? I can only speak it in a language that I understand. And so that's where the relatability come in at. Because I feel like I always say it's more us than them. Right? And so I just want to teach my people how to sit at the table and say, yo, I can talk about financial statements because Trap told me this remind him of a triple beam. And this remind me of putting on a scale and recalibrating it with a nickel. I get it. I understand what he's saying now. You make more money in a drought, cool, that means the stock market go down. Oh, I know what that mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm going to talk it in that way and then people buy into it. I'm with it. Like, that's my whole aim, man. I'll never change that. But prison, it helped me because that's what happened to me, Charlamagne. Like, even after that, one of my Islamic brothers came to me and was like, bro, you got so much potential. Like, why are you teaching people? Because I wasn't teaching it. Like, I was still, again, I'm getting it out the mud. Like, I'm selling green. I'm running numbers. I'm doing all kind of stuff in prison, man. Selling weed, everything. And he was like, bro, like, you got so much potential. You watch this stuff every day. Like, why you don't teach something else? People follow you. Why you don't teach something else? He introduced me to Islam, and it just was like, damn, it's different. Like, I am my brother's keepers in a way. Because once I had the knowledge and I don't teach it to him, then I'm at fault, not him.
Each one teach one.
You feel me? So I started holding myself accountable for teaching my brother stuff. And so I had to relearn a whole bunch of stuff, like my actions, my ways, my demeanor, me seeing another black man, not looking at him like I got something against him, but looking at him like, what's good, King? How you doing? Like, let me diffuse it early. Right? Like, because in the streets, if I see you and I'm looking, you look too long, it's like, what's that, fam? Especially in New Orleans, like, what's that? And now immediately you like, well, what's that then? You know what I'm saying? So now let me diffuse that. What's good, King? Oh, what's that, bruh? That dialogue, it changed. So now you're receptive to what I got to say. Man, let me teach you about something, bruh. All right, cool, I want to learn that. All right, cool, we can have a conversation now.
That's why I love your story, because it literally just shows all you got to do is pour into brothers and sisters, man. Like, just because you grew up in a certain environment, we not set in our ways. We just don't know any other ways.
Learn behavior.
That's it.
It's learned behavior. And so the only way we get out of that is, one, exposure is important to me. Earn your leisure, man. My brother from Hood Estates, they was so important to me on my journey, because even Rashad tells me all the time, like, Trap, you gotta be diplomatic, bro. You know what I'm saying? And because I don't always be wanting to talk, but Rashad would be like, bro, like, you got information. People need to hear it from your point of view. Like, don't be afraid of that. And they made me receptive to being around brothers, learning, giving knowledge, talking it, like that, no hate. Like, I don't gotta withhold the information. I could just pour it.
That's
just
right.
keep pouring it, right? You're going to get it on the back end. Just keep pouring the information. My bro from Hood Estates, one of the first people he taught me about investing in 18-wheelers. I got 2 of them. But I don't even drive. I don't do nothing. The company drives. It don't make as much as you would if you had an actual company, right? But I make an extra $1,000, $1,500 a week, and I don't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like the driver drive, the company book all the loads. I don't do nothing. I just get a check every week, and then I split it with the driver. We split it 50-50. We good.
Yeah, that's
You
what
know what I'm saying?
Wax and his brothers, that's what they do.
Yeah,
They
like
got
I don't
trucks.
do nothing. Yeah, I don't do nothing. So it was saying, yo, how do I get that relationship equity with people, right? Because the relationship is going to put me in situations that money can't put me in. So I need to build solid, found relationships that's built off value. I won't build a relationship with Charlamagne. I won't build a relationship with Envy. I won't do that not saying what y'all can do for me. Bro, how can I help you? Bro, how can what I know bring value to your life and what you doing? Let's build that relationship off that instead of how much money I can make you or how much money you can make me. Now we looking at each other like, yo, that's my brother right there. He just out of rank. He just called me the other day. Man, how you doing today, bro? I don't even want nothing. Like, and we learn how to build those relationships that help us too. You know what I'm saying? And I learned that environment taught me that being around people who didn't expect nothing from me. And also, I didn't have to be a gangster in front of them.
Shit, what y'all doing is gangster. This the most gangster shit y'all ever did in your life.
Ross say the richest gangster.
Word up.
Giving people information.
I love what Envy and Caesar doing with real estate. I love what Earn Your Leisure doing with
Yeah.
finances. I love what you're doing with stock.
Right.
Like, that is the information that's going to change the generation.
Yeah, and that's how we change it as a collective unit. Being able to say, yo, let's share the information, and then how can we be impactful, right? I saw you, Envy. I saw you had 3,000 people. I'm like, yo, like, I want to go talk to them. Like, I want to do that one day. I want to talk to 3,000 people about stocks and just be like, yo, this is what we doing, y'all. It's going to be mind-blowing.
It'll get to that point. People want to learn. People want the knowledge. But
Right.
I think the best thing about it is when you're real with people, they see it. And the bullshit, they see through it. You know what I mean?
Like your bid. Everything else about you is real, but that bid,
Earn
no
Your
way.
Leisure, like they came to our show. I
Right.
didn't know them, and they seen it, and they
Right.
were saying, "Yo, I got there, and I learned so much knowledge." And you know, we doing something that together that I'm sure we'll announce soon. And I think you might be involved as well.
Yeah.
We all go out together.
Man,
You know what
whatever.
I mean? Instead of hitting 3,000, 7,000, 10,000, we can go to arenas and hit 20,000. But they get all the knowledge. They get real estate from me and Caesar. They get stock advice from you. EYL will break down other things. So that way they got, you know what I mean? You can't stop us when we all together.
You can't stop it,
You know what I
man.
mean? And it ain't about the money. It's about teaching our
The
community.
impact.
And that's the main thing. So,
Man, however I can, man, listen, I'm being 100. Like, whatever I could do to add value, whatever y'all got going on, man, I'm with it.
we do that together.
But the beauty of it is everybody's doing what they genuinely love
to do.
doing. Like when I talk about mental health, it's because I go to
Facts.
therapy. You know what I'm saying?
that
I got to
changed
take a
me.
purpose coach.
Yeah.
I'm into mindfulness. That's what I do. I'm just sharing my story.
Yeah.
I didn't know it's going to impact people. Like, oh, all right,
Yeah,
great.
nah, that I'm telling you, and I made it a point to when I came up here, I'm like, I gotta tell Charlamagne that. Like, yo, that opened me up so much, man. Like, I suffer with survivor's remorse, heavy. Like, just saying, like, I made it out. Like, I'll be like, damn, like, I be feeling bad sometimes. Like,
Especially when you go back home.
Yeah, like when I go home, I'll be like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Because my homies see me, and it's crazy because, like, some of them, I got to deal with them from a distance, and it's out of respect for what I'm doing and what they doing. And there ain't no love lost. And in my mind, I'm always like, how do I get them? How do I get them? Like, and I suffer with it bad. Like, I deal with my own situations, like my own demons. I'm like, damn, like, I'll be asking God, like, yo, like, why you use me? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but therapy helped me, because one of the things the therapist told me was, you don't have to fear being successful. You meant to be successful. You don't got to fear going back to the streets. You know what I'm saying? Real talk.
I'm laughing because I had the same conversation with my therapist yesterday. I had to go have an emergency. I usually go on Friday, but I had to have an emergency session yesterday.
Right.
And she literally said to me, like, you've been doing this for how long?
Right.
Like, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you've been doing this for how long? And even with setbacks, you've always just,
Keep going.
why would that change now? Like, shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
You
That's-
want a hug?
Shut up. No, because you're going to stay in my fucking
Shut the fuck
Wu-Tang.
up.
Yeah.
Wallstreet Trapper, man, we appreciate you joining us, brother, man.
Man, I want to just tell my bro, man, Mo Duncan, man, I appreciate him too, man, for just plugging those things up. You know, I'm always about again, relationships, man. You know, so he was like, Trap, like, people need to hear you, man. Like, and so I just appreciate that. Gotta shout him out. And just y'all, man, for having me. Yee, what's good, Queen? I appreciate you. I actually ran into your co-host for your podcast in Atlanta at the Loft. She works out there. Yeah. I met her.
Oh, yes. She's been working out.
Yeah, she been working out her, so I met her. She real cool, man. So just thank y'all, man. I appreciate y'all.
This won't be the last time. Like, I want to keep you and Earn Your Leisure up here pretty regularly. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the information that our people need, man.
Yeah, whatever. I'm with it. I say it again, man. I'm with it. Like, I'm a phone call away. I'm a flight away, man. I own my 24 hours. Right. And that's important.
And I just want to tell everybody out there also, you know, just because you buy one house or one stock doesn't make you an analyst, all right? Because a lot of people call, and I make sure I try to vet everybody to make sure that they're really doing it. Because you get a lot of people and they scam and they scheme. Because this is, you know, this is a big business as well. Saying they're teaching people and not really doing it. And that's what we try to do. We try to make sure that we bring people up here that actually do it, that can really explain and break it down, and not just try to take, you know, people's money, because we're trying to help our community in the long run.
For sure, man.
Thank you for joining us, brother.
Thank y'all, brothers.
Sir.
Thank y'all,
Give me
man.
information, Instagram.
Oh, for sure, man. Wallstreet Trapper on Instagram is Wall_Street_Trapper. And on YouTube is just Wallstreet Trapper, man. Check me out. I drop a lot of information every day, all day on Instagram and YouTube. So just holler at me, man. Let's get it. Let's trap. Big trap.
All right. Well, it's the Breakfast Club. It's Wallstreet Trapper.